Well, Shaka Hislop, the biggest thing that's happened over the past 7 days, we finally have a title for our transfer speculation segment. A lot of people were involved in this. We're going to go with transfer talk. You okay with that?
Okay. Well, we'll go with it till next week. How about that?
Okay. Let's start with Darwin Nunez because this is a striker that seems to be in demand. Liverpool and Manchester United are the latest two teams that have been linked with him. Is that a possibility for you? Do you think he sees his future in England? And do you think English football at the top flight would suit his game?
I think Darwin Nunez fits in anywhere. Physical, quite clearly has an eye for goal. He's young, so that would also work in his favour. And big clubs taking that option in securing his services at whatever price that may be, because there's an upside to that if things don't work out perfectly well, at least they can move him on. But I don't think anybody's thinking about that right now. Darwin Nunez, given his record in Portugal, given what apparently he's saying about staying and playing in Champions League football, playing at the biggest clubs in European football, you understand he wants to leave. You understand, given his record, why everyone else is interested. And I think it's just a matter of, well, course of transfer business during the next few weeks. But I don't see him staying in Portugal.
Just touching on that, so Liverpool and Man United are the two that have been linked, among others, of course. How do Manchester United persuade a player to come to them ahead of going to someone like Liverpool, who can promise Champions League football and everything else?
I think what Manchester United can offer is the opportunity around this project, I say in inverted commas, in that you, players young as Darwin Nunez, let's just say, would know exactly how big a club Manchester United are or have been, and the promise of being a part of bringing Manchester United back to their former glories is what Manchester United are selling, being a part of rewriting this club's history. Liverpool were in a similar situation 4 or 5 years ago, where their value proposition, shall we call it, was imagine being in a Liverpool team that delivered the first league title in 30 years and how that would stand you with a huge and loyal, not just Northwest England fan base, but a global fan base. And you see how those players who've delivered that league title, and regardless, and I know we're discussing some of their futures over the course of this offseason at the very least, they will not be forgotten. They will always be revered in Merseyside. And now the prospect is, imagine having that kind of a standing with the global fan base that Manchester United continues to command. That's where they are right now. That's all Manchester United have to offer over
And I don't think that Jesse Lingard is a future Manchester United player. We thought he might be a West Ham player by now. He's not. The project is going in a different direction. So where does that leave Jesse Lingard?
Well, looking, in all honesty. And I found him not moving 12 months ago on the back of a very successful 6-month spell at West Ham. I found that bemusing. Listen, I understand you go out to contract, but here you had a club where you just enjoyed, albeit 6 months. The manager has a lot of faith in you. The fans responded in a way that I don't think he anticipated, or anybody could have anticipated, in all honesty. So the only upside to waiting a year is that you go on a free transfer and you expect to command a whole lot more money. Now, given the fact that Jesse Lingard didn't feature an awful lot over the last 12 months, I'm not sure what kind of a position that puts him in. I'm not sure that his position financially is much better than it was 12 months ago if he had gone to West Ham. Maybe it's provided greater opportunity in that West Ham win pole position 12 months ago. So it's an odd one for me. I think there are clubs like West Ham, like any of those others, kind of mid Premier League table-ish, who will be willing to take a chance. The question is, at what cost?
If you were advising Gabriel Jesus about what to do about his future, would you advise him to stay at Man City and play second, maybe third fiddle behind Haaland and whoever else? Or would you say you've got a chance here to go from being a smaller fish in a bigger pond to being a rather bigger fish elsewhere? What would you say to him?
It would be the latter. I still feel that Gabriel Jesus, and we discussed this on ESPN FC last night, and Gab Marcotti was making the point that he played pretty much as a winger for much of this season and last, in actual fact, under Pep Guardiola. But I still think that Gabriel Jesus' best and preferred position is through the middle. And those opportunities aren't going to come. I mean, they were limited playing out wide, even though he was successful in doing so when he featured. I think he needs to move. And there are a number of clubs interested, Arsenal most prominently, and given Arteta and his time at Manchester City, you just wonder if that's going to make the most sense for Gabriel Jesus. Other clubs, including Atletico Madrid, have thrown their hats in the ring. I just feel Arsenal is the easiest and most natural of fits for Gabriel Jesus. If I were advising him, those are the discussions I would kind of be prodding him toward.
If Christian Pulisic is in the plans of Thomas Tuchel, but if Jurgen Klopp said, "Ooh, quite fancy you as Sadio Mane's replacement," would that be something that Pulisic would think about? Or do you think that his kind of role going forward is an opportunity to cement a first-team spot at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel? Or has that ship sailed, Gab?
I think that ship has sailed. I mean, as good as he's been in spells, Christian Pulisic, at times his position in the starting lineup has been inconsistent. Let's put it that way, and at times questioned. If Jurgen Klopp comes and says, "Hey Christian, I'd love to have you here at Anfield. Sadio Mane is moving on, and you fit into those plans perfectly." Pulisic, I think, jumps at the opportunity. Now, where I sit, I'll be honest, I don't see that happening. But then Chamberlain made a similar move from London, Arsenal. I didn't think that he'd feature an awful lot when he did. Injury aside, I thought he was far more impactful for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp than I would have said ahead of that move. So maybe that's how Christian Pulisic and his team are kind of packaging this, in that Jurgen Klopp will give you an opportunity. But just me sitting here firmly on the outside looking in, much as it's attractive, I don't see that happening.
I found it a strange one, this one. I mean, Pulisic's a top talent. But to replace Sadio Mane, first of all, they've got Luis Diaz. They'll probably want to sign someone else. But when Luis Diaz came in, a lot of the time he played on the left-hand side, which meant Sadio Mane played through the middle. And he scored a decent few goals there. So if you're looking to replace Sadio Mane, if you're Jurgen Klopp, are you not looking for someone that's just as comfortable on the left-hand side of the attack as is through the middle?
Exactly. And somebody with that personality and that presence to fill the void that's left by Sadio Mane. Because I'll be honest, aside from Mo Salah, I thought Sadio Mane was easily the most impactful of Liverpool's players, and from a leadership perspective as well. And maybe I'm doing a little bit of a disservice to Van Dijk, but certainly when we talk about Liverpool, we often talk about that front three. And I think Sadio Mane's role, not just as a player but as a leader, has been valued somewhat. So undervalued by people on the outside. Let me say that. So if you're Jurgen Klopp, you're looking for someone to come in and be that type of leader as well. And I just don't think Christian Pulisic is that player, personality-wise, either. I think he has to go a similar path to Jesse Lingard. Mid-table Premier League, thereabouts, establish yourself as that big-name player, as that big player in a slightly smaller pond, and then where that leads in terms of opportunities back at the biggest clubs in European football.
Our last of the quintet this week in our Transfer Talk segment is Ousmane Dembele. He features so often. Whenever we talk transfers, let's put Ousmane Dembele in. Let's talk about him. Staying, going, what's going on? And how does he have to take a couple of steps back to maybe take 3 steps forward in his career? Or can he just stay at Barcelona and just get on with it?
I think he's had a good second half to the last season. That means he doesn't have to take a step back, as you put it. That if he does leave Barcelona, he goes to one of Europe's big boys, and there are a number that are interested. Chelsea, most recently, apparently, at the very least, are inquiring. The issue for Barcelona, the fact that he's gone out of contract, their own financial position, the kind of money that, on all accounts, he was demanding. Barcelona's continued interest in Robert Lewandowski, that's totally separate, again, for a lot of those same reasons. But let's say that's their priority right now, and where they're focused on raising their money toward. I don't see him staying at Barcelona. So the question then becomes, who takes that chance? Who takes that very expensive chance? And while Ousmane Dembele was outstanding in the second part of last season, you cannot help but look at his Barcelona time on a whole, littered by injuries, by some inconsistency, by speculation around disciplinary issues. Do you take all that on for the kind of money that he seems to be demanding? Listen, it's not my money to spend, but I think not. And that's the challenge for Dembele, in a very good position. But how do you package your selling?
Look, it's only the first couple of weeks in June. There's a lot more water under the bridge. And Transfer Talk will continue throughout the summer right here at ESPN.
Even if we change the name again.
Shush.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.